Peace of Islam on this Moonday. Today we're going to read about Isa and Arabo. They're going to talk about the origin of life, the origin of life forms, mainly man. Let's begin. Among the Buddhist priests was one who saw a lofty wisdom in the words that Jesus spoke. It was Bharata Arabo. Today Jesus and Bharata read the Jewish Psalms and prophets, read the Vedas and the Avesta, and the wisdom of Gautama. Now, ain't even no book alive at that time that Jesus wouldn't read. He'd been a young master at age 6. Read all the holy books by age 6 with understanding. And the way nobles did that, like, he ain't even really into a special. He ain't really been special at that time, because most children, even for punishment, for example, I would make my son or daughter whatever act that they violate, I have a verse that I say, go get the Holy Quran Circle 7 of a Noble Drawly and write chapter 8 verse 7 through 15, something like that, for example, 50 times and use Arabic script, stuff like that for punishment. And you win twice. You initiate punishment and you teaching actually the lessons that need to be learned. You also improving the mind, the synopsis in the brain. You also improving the calligraphy of the child. So the better that child is, the more intelligent he gonna be, because that's how you can get punished. Make the punishment more. Write him 200 times. This time you do it again. Either that child gonna learn, or that child hands gonna be strong for being muscle. A lot of muscle growing in their hands. But anyway, getting too far off the original thing. Let's go back. So together Jesus and Bharata read the Jewish Psalms and the prophets, read the Vedas and the Avesta, and the wisdom of Gautama. And as they read and talked about the possibilities of man, Bharata said, man is the marvel of the universe. He is part of everything, for he has been a living thing on every plane of life. Time never was when man was not, and he was a bit of a formless substance in the molds of time, and then a protoplasm. By universal law, all things tend upward to a state of perfectness. The protoplasm evolved, becoming worm, then reptile, bird, and beast, and then at last it reached its form of man. Now man himself is mind, and mind is here to gain perfection by experience. And mind is often manifest in fleshy form, and in the form best suited to its growth. So mind may manifest as worm, or bird, or beast, or man. The time will come when everything of life will be evolved into the state of perfect man. And after man is man in perfectness, he will evolve to higher forms of life. And Jesus said, Brata Rabo, who told you this? That mind, which is the man, may manifest in flesh of beast or bird or creeping thing. And Barata said, from times which man remembers, not our priests have told us so, and so we know. Since from time when man remembers, not our priests have told us so, and so we know. And Jesus said, enlighten Arabo, are you a mastermind? And do not know that man knows not by being told? Basically, study and show yourself approved. Break down the formula until you get to the most common denominator. Man may believe what others say, but thus he never knows. Basically, you only know what man has said. And basically, that's why teachers tell us to write the book report in your own words and don't just copy the summary of the author, because you just going with the author said. They can't tell if you really understand the subject matter perfectly. He said, if man would know, he must himself be what he knows. Do you remember, Arabo, when you were ape, or bird, or worm? Now, if you have no better proving of your plea than that the priests have told you so, you do not know, you simply guess. Regard not, then, what any man has said, let us forget the flesh, and go with mind into the land of fleshless thing. Mind never does forget. And backward through the ages, masterminds can trace themselves, and thus they know. Time never was when man was not. That which began will have an end. If man was not, the time will come when he will not exist. From Allah's own record book we read, the triune God breathes forth, and 7 spirits stood before the Holy One. The Hebrew called these 7 spirits Elohim. So now he about to break down his version. Arabo break down the ancient version of origin of life forms mix with the falsehoods of evolution given by man, which we call the Darwin theory today. Again, I say in my last video, I don't see how Christians claiming the Darwin theory when they got lessons by their Lord and Savior for this issue. But he said, let's continue. And these are they who, in their boundless power, created everything that is or was. These spirits of the triune God moved on the face of boundless space, and 7 ethers were, and every ether had its own form. So he breaking down, and all the times you'll call this quantum physics and quantum mechanics. These forms of life were but the thought of the Holy One, clothed in the substance of their ether planes. Man called these ether planes the planes of protoplasm, of earth, of plant, of beasts, of man, of angel, and of cherubim. These planes, with all their teeming thoughts of the Holy One, are never seen by eyes of man in flesh. So we can't see the plane of earth and the plane of protoplast, as protoplast can't see the plane of man. Right? So they already rebut Arabo. But let's continue. They are composed of substance far too fine for fleshy eyes to see, and still they could constitute the soul of things. And again, quantum physics say that we only can see in a certain spectrum of light and colors. We only can see a small spectrum of what's really there. And that's what he is trying to explain. And with the eyes of soul, all creatures can see these ether planes. So the soul of the beings can see all forms and all forms of life, because all forms of life on every plane of are thoughts of the Holy One. All creatures think, and every creature is possessed of woe, and in its measure has the power to choose. And in their native planes, all creatures are supplied with nourishment from the ethers of their planes. And so it was with every living thing until the woe became a sluggish woe. So now you're talking about frequency and vibration. And then the ethers of the protoplast, the earth, the plant, the beast, the man began to vibrate very slow. The ethers all became more dense, and all the creatures of these planes were clothed with coarser garbs, the garbs of flesh, which man can see. And thus the coarser manifest, which man called physical, appeared. And that is what is called the fall of man. But man fell not alone, for protoplast and earth and plane and beast were all included in the fall. The angels and cherubim fell not. Their woes were ever strong, and so they held the ethers of their plane in harmony with the Holy One. So that's why we can't fathom that plane, because their vibration and their frequency different. It's like a frequency different than a man. And now, when the ethers reach the rate of atmosphere, and all the creatures of these planes must get their food from atmosphere, the conflict came, and that which the finite man had called survival of the fittest became law. The stronger ate the bodies of the weaker manifest, and here is where the cardinal law of evolution has its rise. And now man, in his utter shamelessness, strikes down and eats the beast. The beast consumes the plant derives on the earth absorbs the protoplast. In yonder kingdom of the soul, thus carnal evolution is not known, and the great work of the mastermind is to restore the heritage of man, to bring him back to his estate that he has lost, when he again will live upon the ethers of his native plane. The thought of the Holy One changed not. The manifest of life on every plane unfold into perfect of their kind. And as the thoughts of the Holy One can never die, there is no death to any being on the seven ethers of the seven spirits of the triune God. And so, an earth is never plant. A beast or bird or creeping thing is never a man. And man is not and cannot be a beast or bird or creeping thing. The time will come when all these seven manifests will be absorbed, and man and beast and plant and earth and protoplast will be redeemed. Barata was amazed. The wisdom of the Jewish sage was a revelation unto him. Now Vidyapati, wisest of the Indian sage, chief of the temple Kabavistu, most likely it was Kaba, because the P and the B, as interchangeable. Heard Barata speak to Jesus of the origin of man, and heard the answer of the Hebrew prophet, and he said, "You priests of Kabavistu, hear me speak. We stand today upon the crest of time. 6 times ago, a master soul was born, who gives a glory light to man, and now a master says stands here in the temple Kabavistu. This Hebrew prophet is the rising star of wisdom, deified. He brings to us a knowledge of the secret things of the Most High, and all the world will hear his words, or heed his words, and glorify his name. You priests of temple Kabavistu, stay, be still, and listen when he speak. He is the living oracle of the Holy One." And all the priests gave thanks and praised the Buddha of enlightenment. So, in India, he's the Buddha of enlightenment. One of his many titles. But basically, we just break down what a lot of quantum mechanical scientists know and physics know, and in a religious type way with parables, but I say very well explained. So we'll start right there and just end this moon lesson for today. Evolution 101. So peace till next time.